Recently, my friend has passed his entire prop firm challenge using the easiest 1-minute scalping strategy I've ever seen. He's been using this exact approach to consistently find high win rate trades that make him thousands of dollars each day, trading only 90 minutes per day. So if you're looking for a fast and reliable way to scalp the Forex market without staring at the charts all day, you're gonna love this video. I'm gonna break down the trading strategy step by step, so let's get started. Alright, so before we jump into the exact trading strategy, we need to clear up a few things about scalping. What it actually is, because there's a lot of confusion out there. So if we take a look at the chart, scalping is all about catching these small moves in the market, right? We go in, go out, make our money, that's it. With scalping, we're definitely not in the market to catch these high, multi-day trends. That's not what scalping is. However, we are also not there to catch every single tiny move possible in scalping, because it will burn you out and the accuracy is going to be very low. So what we actually want to do is enter trades on the 1 to 5 minute time frames. Multiple time frame analysis is very useful when scalping, and we want to take only high probability trading setups. So here's a quick example, maybe a trend towards the downside, a nice little push exhaustion scenario. We could enter our trading position and it would have been a profitable trading opportunity. Why? Because there was a nice trend breakout towards the upside. Just over here we had a slight little consolidation zone around here. We broke it out, and after the next candlestick had a bullish engulfing one, this made a new high just over here, had an exhaustion. This was a perfect trading opportunity to enter a trade long, and that would have been a great trade. So high confluence, high probability, that's the way we want to be scalping. We don't want to be scalping every single trade, because trust me, high probability trades are rarer than you think. Look, we need to talk about scalping mistakes people make, because there's a ton of them, and if you don't learn them now, you're going to be making them in your live account. So listen up. All right, mistake number one, and this is actually huge: ignoring market conditions. You want to identify whether there is a trending market going up, whether there's a choppy market, or whether it's end of day market and the charts look like this. If you're scalping at this time, your spread is going to be ridiculous and you're going to be losing a lot of money. Trust me, you need to learn to identify what market conditions are you currently trading. You want to be trading when the market is, trending nicely towards the upside or the downside, something like this, where there's a lot of volatility. You see this big movement, you can make quick money here. Here you can make quick money. When the market is barely moving, or sluggish, you don't want to be trading during these times, because the purpose of scalping is in and out, right? We want to be in 5 minutes out, right? We don't want to be stuck in a shitty trade that travels 0.1 pip an hour. We don't want to do that. That sucks, and it's eventually it's gonna hit end of day, and then spread comes out and you're basically screwed. So trade during normal hours. New York session, London session, these hours are great for scalping. All right, mistake number two is using too many indicators. You don't want your chart to look something like this. It's too messy, it's hard to read, and trust me, there's nothing worse than not reading the candlesticks. Look how much space it takes. These RSI, MACD, stochastic, like VWAP, EMAs. This is just too many. Trust me, indicators are helpful, but if you use them within reason, use one or two and you're gonna be fine. Let me show you an example actually. So here's what I consider having reasonable indicators for scalping. 50, 200, something like that, moving averages, something like this. As you can see, consolidation over here. You're just reading the price action. After the box, it's likely gonna go retest over here, so that could have been a trade. It broke out, so this could have been a trade, little pullback. That's the way you would be trading, 1, 2, 3, every single time you're trading with the trend. That's all you need. Indicators are lagging, so you just want to know whether the trend is up or down. Currently the trend is up, because that's what the indicators are telling me, and that's good enough. You will need to learn how to read price action and candlesticks, because candlesticks at least are real time and they don't lie. All the other indicators are previous data, which can be skewed, and it's not going to be very good. Last mistake I see when scalping is not having a defined exit plan. So let's take a look at this. Look, we want to aim for around this area. If we enter in over here, we want to aim to the previous high. That just makes logical sense. So maybe here, maybe the wick you can aim for, that's the maximum. You want to wait for the wick. Otherwise, if you buy, it starts going up and you don't close your trading position, right? You think, oh, it broke out, maybe it's gonna continue going up, it starts going down, and then what do? You start losing money and you hit your stop loss level. That's not the way you trade. Don't be greedy. Have an exit plan all the time. You want to know where you want to exit. Before you enter the trade, you want to definitely define, okay, once it hits this fucking line, I'm exiting the trade. Otherwise, things like this will happen. Now, besides the mistakes, what are the key factors of profitable scalping? Well, of course, the first thing is risk to reward ratio. Let's take a look at this chart. The higher the reward you put and the smaller the risk, the more money you could essentially make, even if you take losses. However, the best risk to reward ratio, my friend said, and I suggest as well, is between 1.15 and 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. This seems to be the balance between scalping. I don't know why, but this always worked for me, and this is how my friend passed it, so I guess it works. Now, second key factor for scalping success is, of course, patience and discipline. You want to be patient when you trade. You want to have that smooth, entry that straight away goes inside your profit. You want to have some sort of, balance over here. Maybe you see, something like this. Ooh, that looks really good. Why would this setup even look good? Look, this is a nice support area. Previous area sensitivity, right? There was a consolidation. Consolidation was broken into a new high. Push towards the upside. What happened? Dip back down to the previous area where support level just over here. That's perfect because this support level has been respected multiple times, and this area over here gives us somewhere to aim for. So we have an aim, we have our target level. We can, make 1.75 risk to reward ratio easy, and 5 minutes later this trade would have made you money. And after you make this money, you may not want to scalp anymore. Depending on the lot size you trade, you can still make a lot of money. Just because it moves 7 pips or something doesn't mean that's not a lot of money. Let's change that to, let's say, I don't know, 10 lot size or something. Let's click a buy and let's see what happens. Look at that. $700 within minutes of making money, right? So if you're just precise and accurate when you're scalping, trust me, it's gonna do really, really well. You don't want to trade a million trades like a lot of people do, trade a million trades when scalping. Just be patient and try to find the one trade, and trust me, you're gonna make $700 within a day. That's really good. If you can manage to make, I don't know, $700 each day, what's that gonna be? Like 21k per month. That's insane, right? So you don't have to make, this crazy amount of money because you might not have a balance. Maybe you don't have the prop firm challenge yet, but it is possible. It is a possibility, right? And my friend has been making thousands of dollars just simply scalping 1 to 2 trades a day. So with all that being said, we're finally here to discuss step-by-step strategy of my friend that's been making thousands of dollars. And trust me, it's the easiest strategy you have ever seen. However, it works really, really well. So it all comes down to 2 indicators, the simple moving average, and we also need floor pivot points. You can find floor pivot points on various different websites or even on TradingView indicators. And the moving average we are using is the 100 simple moving average. Okay, so why these indicators? This will act as a dynamic support and resistance, and it shows the trend, and this shows horizontal support and resistance throughout the previous day. So it's a likely level that most people are looking for and will likely be respected, or once broken might be retested. So the first thing we want to do is identify multiple time frame analysis, right? We want the same trend in different time frames. Typically we're going to be looking for 1, 5 and 15-minute charts. So if it goes towards the upside just over here, and then we go to the 5-minute time frame, we want to see pretty much the same thing happening. The moving average has to be at the bottom, the candlesticks has to be at the top, for a buy signal. Central pivot point has now been broken, as we can see over here. This shows a significant bullish pressure. We want to be identifying that on multiple time frames, so you can use 15-minute, 5-minute and 1-minute for confirmation. But typically my friend said he uses 5 and 1 minute just to keep things kind of simple. So 2 time frames only. And then he enters after the breakout has happened with an exhaustion phase. So where is the exhaustion? Back to the previous area of sensitivity, something like this. So if we draw, let's say, a zone, first zone over here is the resistance. seconds over here is the support. So what do we have? It's a box, right? We have broken this box just over here with a push towards the upside. After that push, there is typically an exhaustion. The exhaustion happened over here. What can we do? We can enter our trading position. Something like this will do. My friend does say he gives some space for movement, so he doesn't put stop loss just below the pivot or, the previous area of sensitivity. He puts it somewhere around here. But let's say we are theorizing anyway, so we are entering the trading position over here. What we can do is aim for a previous area zone, which is over here, right? So stop loss just around here to make it 1.5 risk to reward ratio. Something like this seems very reasonable. And as we can see, it shoots towards the upside, but you would have closed just here straight away. You wouldn't wait for that. We don't want to wait for that. We want to close and look for another trading position if possible. If not, be happy with the trade you made. 1 to 2 good scalps a day keeps the doctor away. Trust me, you're not going to be stressing, and that's the best thing for your longevity. Trust me, trading is stressful. Now, of course, I showed you, and now you think, oh my god, that's so simple, it's bullshit, right? Because that's what a lot of people think. I don't know why they think simple strategies don't work. In today's day and age, a lot of people overcomplicate trading for no reason. I've been making money for 10 years from trading, and never once my strategy really kind of diverted to very complicated things. You want to look at the charts and understand what's going on. You want to see the charts. You don't want to see cluttered charts, or irrelevant things on your screen. That's not the way you trade. So with that being said, let me show you some live trade examples I actually took, and let's discuss them and what actually happened, what I was thinking at that time. So here's where I entered my trading position originally. As you can see, I moved my stop loss and take profit levels already. If we pause it just for a second, this red line over here is my pivot point. As you can see, our stop loss just over here is covering the 100 moving average and the pivot line. We are currently sitting in a consolidation phase. Candlesticks are all bunched up in a nice little box, and we are attempting to break it. The only reason I think it's gonna break it is because we have this candlestick over here. That was the lowest low on the 1 minute time frame. So a push, exhaustion, push is very likely. Maybe a breakout, so a continuation, exhaustion, and then again the trend continues. Now if we take a look, the trend did continue for a while. 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 and 4. As we can see, the market is reacting. We had a bullish engulfing candlestick. If we stop it just here, as we can see, the market is reacting still inside the box. A bullish engulfing candlestick telling me there is some, bullish pressure of this area of support, which is typical. I was thinking maybe now it's a good idea to minimize my risk. So from $125, maybe somewhere over here to still cover the 100 moving average, but minimize it slightly. And that's the way I like to manage my trades. So as you can see, eventually I changed my stop loss level, as I said, to 93. And then eventually I started looking, I started seeing these, candlesticks going up. I was thinking, what's going on? I don't like that. So I started moving on the 5 minute time frame. And what's important on the 5 minute is the pivot line. The pivot line remains the same on the 5 minutes. And as we can see, push, exhaustion, push, exhaustion, push, right? Even though here is a clear support level, and maybe you would think it could be a reversal back towards the upside, you don't want to trade that. As I said, you always want to trade with the overall market trend. The trend usually continues even when it finds stronger levels of support. And because over here on the 1 minute time frame is the low that I showed you, it doesn't matter. That low has already been broken. Just because we cannot see it on the 5 minute time frame and we're seeing spikes towards the upside doesn't mean that it's not gonna continue moving towards the downside. So it's very important to cover the pivot line. The 100 moving average was at the very top, meaning that there is a lot of selling pressure on the 5 minute or 15 minute time frames, your higher time frames when you're scalping. Your stop loss doesn't have to cover it over here, although if it does, that's even better. There's better confluence. But generally you want to cover your stop loss and the moving average on the 1 minute time frame. So eventually we came back to the 1 minute time frame, and let's see just what happens over here. It continues dropping down. Eventually we're gonna break past. So as you can see, once this candlestick passed all these remaining levels, as if I can draw it accurately. There we go. So you can see this one is lower than these ones. It's already broken on the lower time frames, the support, which means likely the trend will continue to retest this level. If it breaks, it will carry on moving towards the downside more. And there we go. It started dipping down nicely, and eventually we took our target profit. Take profit has been executed, easy peasy. So here's another trade example. This one is very quick since it was actually a loss. Believe it or not, look at this. It started going down. I was happy about it, and then boom, look what happened. It shot towards the upside and took me out of the trade. Minus $255. That really pissed me off actually, because my stop loss was kind of tight. And what I learned from this is to actually use the ATR indicator instead of trying to guess where likely, the market will turn around or react, right? If I use the ATR indicator correctly, I probably wouldn't have been stopped out and banged this trade, nicely. As we can see, it eventually started to drop down, and this could have been a beautiful trade to take. But I just want to show you that it takes some practice to master this 1 minute scalping strategy. So here's the final results: 3 losses, 7 wins. It accounts to around $650 profit, give or take. These trades were not taken all at the same day. They were literally in a couple of days period. The trading strategy is pretty good. It definitely works. It worked for my friend. I don't see why it wouldn't work for you. So I recommend you try this 1 minute scalping strategy. And if you're looking for a trading community that absolutely dominates the Forex markets, you may want to join my group, link down in the description below. And I recommend you watch this video next. This video is pretty good. I hope you enjoy. My name is Elders, and I wish you a great rest of your day.